As you saw in our interview with Roy Smith, we only needed light jackets outside on a warm January afternoon earlier this week. UNL Extension statewide climatologist Al Dutcher is in with this week's forecast, including a cool down towards the end of the week.
Well, folks, here we are again on Friday morning. Of course, this will be the first official forecast of the new year's, seeing as that we were on break with the university shutdown last week. We didn't have an official forecast, but overall, those dry conditions that were developed the last couple of weeks continue. We've seen some very warm temperatures. In fact, we have to go all the way back to December 10th to see the last day when the entire state was below normal in terms of average temperatures for the day, and since then we've been above normal, and with some exceptionally warm temperatures the last week of December, which brought us up to an average of 2 to 5 degrees above normal across the state. Right before Christmas, the 23rd, the state was basically normal. So that's how much that warm temperatures really bumped up our monthly temperatures. The lack of precip is a concern, and of course we do see some drier conditions during the winter months, and unfortunately with these drier conditions we don't really have any major concerns in regards to agricultural crops because we don't grow any this time of the year, but certainly a stretch of this type of dryness in the middle of summer would really be some concern. So do we have any moisture in our forecast? Well, let's take a look at the upper air models and see what we can expect as we move through this next 7-day period. And as we go to the upper air models, the thing I'll draw your attention to is we do have this cold air that's trying to move its way southward, and that's in response to a trough that is across the eastern United States that brought some very cold temperatures and freezing conditions down into Florida. That has now lifted eastward, allowing this cold air to drag into our region. So this cold front is going to rapidly approach us over the next 24-hour period. We should start to see highs dropping a little bit compared to yesterday's records. We'll be looking at highs that will probably be in the mid to upper 40s across the south, to lower 40s across the north. And as we go into tomorrow, that cold air sags southward. Not a lot of moisture with it, just a few sprinkles is about all we can really expect out of this. But as the system moves toward the south, we'll see some development of an upper air low across the southwestern United States, and we'll bring our temperatures down a few degrees more as we go into tomorrow. We'll be looking at highs that will primarily be in the mid 30s across the north, and as we get toward the south we will be looking at the low to mid 40s. As we get into Sunday, now that system starts to develop itself across the southern United States, and it will move eastward. For us, we don't look to see any moisture, maybe a little flurries across the western panhandle, and maybe an inch accumulation if we can get some moisture in here, but it doesn't look very promising. But our highs will be another 4 or 5 degrees cooler as we're looking at the low 30s across the north to the upper 30s, possibly low 40s across the south. But as we get into Monday, that warm air rapidly moves in as the system starts to shift its way toward the east, allowing temperature to rebound rather dramatically. We'll be looking at highs that will be somewhere into the 50s across extreme western Nebraska, and across eastern Nebraska we're probably going to be stuck in the low to mid 40s. As we go into Tuesday, all of that warm air moves into our region. We'll be looking at highs in the 50s across the entire state, with a possible exception across extreme northeastern Nebraska where we might just see the upper 40s. As we get into Wednesday, now comes a big surge of cold air, and where we see temperatures that will primarily be in the mid 30s across the northwest to low 40s across the southeast. But by Thursday, the cold air is in place. We are looking at highs probably in the mid-teens to the low 20s across the state with a chance of flurries. And as we go to the 8 to 14-day forecast, although we do show above normal temperatures, it depends on how long this cold air remains in place, but they are saying this is going to be a short-lived event. So above normal temperatures for next Thursday, the following Tuesday. In terms of precipitation, it looks like all the major moisture stays to our north, and we are probably more likely going to be in the drier area of this forecast map.